Hello. Today's Oversight Touchpoint will give a brief overview of the required partner programs that must be present in the local workforce system. Let's get started. The objectives for today's Touchpoint are as follows. First, we'll compare the characteristics of one-stop centers. Next, we'll learn about the required partners. Then, we'll discuss what it means to provide access to those required partners. We'll follow with reviewing how BWDA monitors local area compliance. And finally, we'll discuss some tips and resources for accessing some of the more difficult to secure partners. Now let's talk about the types of one-stop service delivery locations. In accordance with L&I's Workforce System Policy number 121-05, the Local Workforce Delivery System-PA CareerLink Certification and Continuous Improvement Policy, there are three types of service delivery locations. Comprehensive sites are physical locations where customers must be able to access programs, services, and activities of all required partners and may include non-required local partners. There must be at least one comprehensive site in each local area, but depending on the configuration of the local area, such as having multiple counties or multiple population centers where customers may need to access the full array of PA CareerLink services, the local board may decide to designate more than one site as comprehensive. Affiliate sites are locations where one or more partners make available workforce, employment and training programs, services, and activities. There may be a mix of required and non-required partners and must be connected to a comprehensive site in the local area. If there is more than one comprehensive location, the local area can choose which site to connect the affiliate site with which comprehensive site if there are multiples of each type of site. Specialized sites are access points that allow for the provision of a variety of services tailored to the needs of the population being served and can include career coaching, networking opportunities, comprehensive assessment, etc. These specialized sites must also be connected to a comprehensive site in the local area. Every site must be physically and programmatically accessible for customers. So, who are the required one-stop partners? WIOA requires the following 13 partner programs. First, under the heading of programs authorized under Title I of WIOA, there are 7 subheadings. Provision of WIOA adult dislocated worker and youth program services are the responsibility of the local boards, which contract out to service providers as the board itself cannot provide program services. Job Corps is a federal residential education and job training program for youth aged 16 to 24. It's a nationwide program run out of federal regional centers covering the entirety of the Commonwealth. Youth Build is a federal community-based pre-apprenticeship program that provides job training and educational services for opportunity youth aged 16 to 24. There are currently 7 programs in Pennsylvania officially affiliated with Youth Build USA and have a wide coverage area. The required partner in the local area will likely be one of these providers. Native American programs are those which provide job training, job placement, and career counseling for Native Americans, Alaskan Natives, or Native Hawaiians 18 years of age or older. The Council of Three Rivers has regional offices throughout the Commonwealth, which provides statewide coverage. Finally, in the WIOA Title I required partner cluster are migrant and seasonal farm worker programs. The Pathstone Corporation has a statewide contract with the U.S. Department of Labor to provide migrant and seasonal farm worker services. However, they only receive funding for 5 counties that cover 4 local areas. In those 4 local areas, Pathstone must be both an MOU signer and an IFA contributor. In all other local areas, they must sign the MOU but do not need to contribute financially. Second are providers of programs authorized under the Wagner-Peiser Act or WIOA Title III. These services are provided by the state merit staff in BWPO. Third are providers of adult education and literacy activities under WIOA Title II. These can be career and technical institutes, community organizations, community colleges, and in some cases, four-year institutions. The only criterion to represent this partner is to be a recipient or subrecipient of Title II funding through the PA Department of Education. Fourth are providers of programs authorized under Title I of the Rehabilitation Act, or WIOA Title IV. These programs are administered by OVR, which is the required partner. Fifth are providers of the Senior Community Service Employment Program, or CSEP, authorized under Title V of the Older Americans Act of 1965. Sixth are providers of career and technical education programs at the post-secondary level authorized under the Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Act. Seventh are providers of the Trade Adjustment Assistance, or TAA, activities authorized under the Trade Act of 1974 and its amendments. BWPO administers this program and is the required partner. Eighth are providers of the Jobs for Veterans Grants Program, or JVSG. Like the Trade Act program and Title III services, BWPO administers this program and is the required partner. Ninth are providers of employment and training activities under the Community Service Block Grant, or CSBG. 10th are providers of employment and training activities carried out by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. This is a required partner many local areas have difficulty filling and is one we'll discuss in greater detail later in the presentation. 11th are providers of programs authorized under state unemployment compensation laws. In Pennsylvania, the required partner is the Illinois Office of Unemployment Compensation. 12th are providers of programs authorized under the Second Chance Act of 2007. This is another partner local areas often have difficulty finding and is something we'll be discussing later in this presentation. Finally, are providers of TANF programs authorized under Title IV of the Social Security Act, unless exempted by the governor. In Pennsylvania, the governor has determined that TANF is a required partner. Now that we've determined who are the required partners in the one-stop delivery system, let's talk about access to these required partners and what that means. As we noted at the beginning of the presentation, every local area is required to have a comprehensive one-stop service delivery site, which must provide access to all required partner programs. This doesn't mean every required partner needs to be co-located within the comprehensive site or even have an office within the local area, but again, there must be access to all required partner programs. According to 20 CFR 678.305D, partner program access means one of three things. First, access can mean having a program staff member physically present at the one-stop center. This would be the case for co-located partners. Second, for non-co-located required partners, the one-stop center can have a staff member from a physically co-located partner at the comprehensive site who is appropriately trained in the programs, services, and activities of the non-co-located required partner. Finally, access can mean making available a direct linkage through technology to program staff who can provide meaningful information or services. Let's dive further into what is meant by a direct linkage. The regulations state a direct linkage means providing a direct connection at the one-stop center within a reasonable time by phone or through a real-time web-based communication, like Teams or Zoom, to a program staff member who can provide program information or services to the customer. These direct linkages are meant to be a warm handoff to the required partner. This is why the regulations state that a direct linkage cannot exclusively be providing a phone number or website or handing out information, pamphlets, or materials. One real-world example of this technical assistance BWDA has provided regards Pathstone and the Migrant Seasonal Farm Worker Program. As mentioned earlier, Pathstone only receives funding to provide direct services in 4 local areas. However, every local area is required to have them as a partner. One solution given was that Pathstone can periodically provide a presentation of its services, either in person or via electronic means, to each local area. This would meet the criteria of a direct linkage. Next, let's discuss how BWDA monitors required partners. On this slide here is a copy of part of BWDA's Service Delivery Monitoring tool. In the first column, it lists all the required partners. In the successive columns, local areas will complete the name of the required partner present at each of its comprehensive affiliate and specialized service delivery locations. As mentioned, only the comprehensive sites must have access to all required partners. Affiliate and specialized sites may have some, but not all the required partners. If a local area has more than 6 service delivery sites, it may complete and upload more than one of these tools. This spreadsheet is located in the online monitoring app within CWDS in the service delivery document request. Oversight Services also uses the information from the spreadsheet to cross-reference it with the data within local and regional plans, the local area memorandum of understanding, and when reviewing the local board's certification of its PA CareerLink sites and local monitoring tools to make sure all the information matches. Since all local areas must have access to all required partners, whether or not they are located directly within the workforce area, BWDA has collected some resources for those partners that local boards have stated were the most difficult to obtain. Using these resources isn't a guarantee of securing the required partner for the local area, but will facilitate better conversations with relevant organizations. The 3 most difficult required partners to secure, as identified by local areas, are Youth Build, employment and training activities funded through HUD, and Second Chance Act programs. The first is Youth Build. This is a nationwide federally funded program for community-based pre-apprenticeship programs for opportunity youth who left school without a secondary school diploma. Both USDOL and Youth Build USA have listings of programs which are funded in Pennsylvania. Many of these organizations have a wider reach than just the local area their office may be located in. On the slide are links to both the USDOL Youth Build site and the Youth Build USA website, which can be visited for more information. Next are the HUD programs. There are 3 grants HUD has identified for employment and training activities: the Jobs Plus Initiative, the Family Self-Sufficiency, and the Resident Opportunities and Self-Sufficiency Grants. We've linked the individual grant pages to this slide. These pages not only give a description of the programs, but link to grant awardees. For those local areas that have difficulties in securing this partner, it's generally because the local city or county housing authority hasn't applied for the grant funding, either because of insufficient staff capacity or ignorance of the fund availability. Also, unlike WIOA, there isn't anything to compel local housing authorities to apply for these funds, nor is there necessarily a state agency in Pennsylvania that is tasked with these programs on a state level. In past technical assistance, BWDA has recommended discussing how to get the local housing authority to apply for these funds with the chief elected officials. If the housing authority staff capacity is the driving issue, local areas may be able to assist the housing authorities in administering these grant funds. Finally, the Second Chance Act partners. Prior to several weeks ago, I would have stated that there were only a few grant-funded programs in Pennsylvania, largely focused on the southern tier of the state, without much detail. Thanks to a recent local board staff technical assistance request, we did some additional research and found there are many partner programs using second chance funding both at the state and local level. The National Reentry Resource Center has a comprehensive list of these partners. One can click the link on this slide, which will lead you to a map. Click on Pennsylvania and you'll be able to download a PDF that shows Second Chance Act funded partners and the funding period. Though this list states it was last updated in 2023, there are still statewide and local programs currently funded. However, you'll want to check the funding dates because not all programs are currently receiving funding. This presentation, including all the resources, will be added to the BWDA Media Library on the L&I website for your future reference. If you're attending the live session, please feel free to put any questions you may have in the chat and we'll respond to as many as possible. If you're viewing this presentation after the live session and have any questions, please direct them to the BWDA Oversight Services resource account above or contact the assigned analyst for the local area. Thank you again for your time and attention.